Well, hello, everybody. Believe it or not, we are going to talk about the rock and roll band Phish today and their song Light. I listened to every Light from the year 2009, starting in Fenway, at Fenway. Well, you were inside of Fenway, most likely. I mean, they were inside of Fenway. So it started in Fenway, in Boston, Massachusetts, home of the Red Sox and Joe LaRocca. So, and then it ended the year on December 28th, 2009 at Madison Square Garden. And, it was the first year. This was its debut year. This was their first year coming back. And that Fenway version, it was just basically light, almost like you're going to get on the album. And then that was the one and only time they did that. They were like, okay, this is not it. The crowd was not into this. Kind of even had the typical light ending, like you would expect or not expect now, really. And then it quickly things picked up. It was almost exclusively a second setter. One time it wasn't. It snuck into the third set at the festival, and then it closed the first set somewhere. Where did I wrote that down? In Albany on the 29th of November. It closed the first set. So they tried to play around with it a little bit. And look, for a song that I feel like in the early years of their comeback, '09 was not quite the year for light. We did get a good one at the Gorge on August 7th, 2009. I don't think I'm going to say 2009 every time now. Okay, you guys get it? We're 2009 here. Is that enough? All right, so on August 7th, that one at the Gorge, it took a little while to get going, of course. The Type 1 part was always really good in almost all of these versions. And then some of the jams, they would drift off into a little bit of nothing. But this Gorge one got to a point towards the end there. It was almost like a hood jam feel to it. And then Page kind of gets into this kind of Caribbean jam, kind of inspires Trey to start, maybe throwing in some vocals. He was like, ooh, something like that, And then I was expecting some Fishmen yelling around in the background. We never got to that point. So I would say this one was my favorite of the debut year for Light. It was ran about a little over 13 minutes, and then but before that they played it at Bonnaroo. That was the first one that jammed out. Obviously, they all did after that first one, and the Cincinnati one not so much. Maybe even the Albany one that ended the first set not so much. The Bonnaroo one, it was starting to get there. For the first time, they tried to take off with it. I'm sure they had done a little bit of this behind the scenes because then the next one, like I said, at the Gorge was very good. Then you get a little bit of a break there from August 7th all the way into the fall. At Festival 8, it had the late night feel, and then it was indeed a third setter, late in the third set, in fact, and it kind of had that feel to it. Not horrible, but then not great. Ran on for about 15 minutes. Then we get on to the Cincinnati and Albany back to back. The Cincinnati show I was at, not a very memorable light. Same thing followed. It was coming after a tweezer there in Cincinnati, so maybe they were a little jammed out after that one. And then after Albany, they get on to Portland, Maine. That one had its moments. If the one at the Gorge was an A minus, I think, because there's some A pluses out there. I haven't found it yet. 2009 was not the year, but we'll give the Gorge an A minus. Portland, Maine was probably a B plus. It had some moments in the 12 minutes 15 seconds that it ran, and then they followed that up at Madison Square Garden on December 2nd. What a crazy year 2009 was. They were playing in MSG on December 2nd. And this one, again, it had its moments, but really it took until about the final 3 minutes of this light at MSG. Mike's tone really going, that's coming up, boom, 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 boom. Just a really cool tone from Mike there. Page had its moments on about all these, too. A lot of howling from Page on these early light jams. And then they had another one in it in Charlottesville on December 5th. This one came after a, was it Tweezer Light Piper, I believe. I mean, you talk about a run there. So you can see it's in the neighborhood of Tweezer several times, a few times throughout this summer. But the Tweezer Light Piper, I believe it was Tweezer that opened up that set in Charlottesville. Light a lot of times that second song of the second set as well. The Type 1 part of this ruled. But again, they tried to get a little jammy here in this late '09. It just wasn't quite happening. And then they finished the year, as far as light was concerned, on December 28th in Miami. Again, how weird is that? Although, Miami '03 was a cool run. I wasn't there, but, it was cool. '09, I'm sure was cool. Again, I wasn't there. Although I heard the lot scene down there is kind of ratchet. Anyways, this one wasn't that good either. It kind of got a little too spacey. So I'm excited to get into 2010 and 11, maybe 12 and 13. We'll see. I'm gonna check out 10 and 11. But if it's a lot of misfires, there's an A and a couple of Bs, through 15 versions, we may just fast forward through 10 and 11, get to 12 and 13. 14, I know, had some solid ones. And then sadly, by, into 17, it had kind of worn off. It was not a ghost. I'm assuming that was a cat if you just noticed the door. Oh, there he is. Come up here, buddy. You just interrupted me. Come on up. He didn't really interrupt me. What was I saying? Come here. Oh, there's his little ears. Look how big he's getting. You guys remember him like the first day I had him? I know he was kind of a big boy then, too. He wasn't a kitty kitty. Oh, no. Oh, no. We don't want to cooperate? He wants to get to that window, dog. Go on. Get to the window. I know. Got some fish notes there. Oh, he jumped over the fish notes. All right, guys. Let's see what the kitty's looking at. What you looking at, buddy? What's out there? Like my homemade lock there, the old piece of wood. Nothing better than a piece of wood. All right, guys. Boom, we are out of here. Now you got to get back on my glorious face. I don't know. Look at them golden eyes. Look how cute he is. I promise you, he's adorable. Look how big he's getting now, dude. He towers over Rose. When they wrestle now, Rose doesn't stand a chance. I thought I taught her well. You know, Rose had a good 8-9 months of wrestling with me before this guy came along. Look at him. He's a beaut. All right, guys. Boom. We're out of here. Join the NCAA group, too. What an ugly day. I'll include the link to the NCAA group in the description. My brackets are usually horrible. Don't worry if yours is. Boom. We're out of here. Check out that Gorge light. And probably the MSG one, too. Hey, and why not the Festival 8 one if you're on Z drugs?